Tamunafuset, Hika, Sia. This is Chief Minwab, Chief of the Tamanaks, the Arawakai, Chaimas, and the Kumanagoats, Chief of Kyrie and Alubera Islands. Coming to you again with another update. This one is a serious update. From the offset, I would tell you that this is going to go above layman head and is not really for them, although a lot of people are interested in the topic. But this is because we see now all of a sudden uh, groups coming forward because now is the time. Now it's important as the chief to let you know who these groups are to create a distinct um, description in the header, the difference between who and what they are and who and what we are, right? And then we we would like to give you more an insight on this topic because this topic only so due qualified people could be able to speak on this topic. So from outset, this is the disclaimer, right? This update is for traveling men, right? And in the comments, you could answer if you're a traveling man before you comment on anything else. And if your has been in the school that I was tested, tried, and proven in, then you would know the answer to that question. If, however, you belong to the other side of things, you may not know the answer to the question, but you can comment based on your experience with said organization. So, without any slowing down, let me just begin.
While traveling through the Carsonfield area, I am sure you pass this building so many times without having an idea of what goes on inside here. This is the Kyrie Lodge, Peace Profound, home of the Rosicrucian
Pay attention to the name of the lodge.
Order, AMORC, Ancient Mystical Order of the Rose Cross. Interestingly enough, Kyrie is the name given to Trinidad from the First Peoples.
It is the actual name of the island. Go on.
The rose represents the soul, evolving, growing. The cross represents the human body, the weight of being alive. Put them together, and that's their entire philosophy in one image. They trace their roots back to the mystery schools of ancient Egypt around 1500 BCE, where initiates gathered to study the universe. That knowledge traveled through Greece, Rome, medieval Europe, and became what is known today. The first Rosicrucians gathered in Trinidad in 1950, right there in Independence Square in Port of Spain. This lodge has been here in Central for over 70 years. There's another body in Tobago too, the Tobago Atrium Group in Scarborough. It's not a religion. Members come from every faith, every background. They study consciousness, meditation, natural law, what they call spiritual alchemy, the transformation of self. So next time you're passing through Chase Village, look for the blue and cream building. It's been quietly there longer than most of us have been alive.
Right. Yeah. So this brother here, right, which if I had to make a bet, I would be betting that he belonged to that order as well, right? Just based on his pattern of speech. And as for all those men who have so been tested, right, you would recognize what I'm speaking of too as well. You listen to his speech, you'd make an easy bet that he belongs to either that prosecution order or some other chapter. Right. So, right, that's the topic we're going to be on today. A lot of people like to run up and talk about it, Um, and I have never seen them sitting next to me. I have never verified any proof that they have been in such schools, right? So therefore, they cannot speak on such a topic. You would dig up on the internet and you would find information about the Illuminati, but you would be finding information mainly about the Amberlight Illuminati. So before we go any further, right, let me just put this picture up as well. Right, this same brother here, I think is the same guy, went around with I think our video again, and he was talking about this place here is on number 96 Company Road, Princess Town, right? And here would be the seat of what's supposed to be here would supposed to be the seat of the copper tone indigenous woolly head orders, right? So you just have to follow it now a little bit. This temple here would be the how how to put it, it would be the opposite or was supposed to be the opposite of this here, right? Of this order here, right? So just get to where he's showing the temple. Boom.
growing.
There. Right.
The cross
Right. So these two are opposites of the same pole, or supposed to be opposites of the same pole. And I'll tell you why I'm saying supposed to be. Right. So before we go, this would be the topic at hand for the difference between Masons and Freemasons, right? There is a difference, as you'd see I was alluding to here. A lot of you who out there researching the internet, who um those who sit in the order called eavesdroppers, right? A lot of you who run on the internet and pick up uh information on this topic and feel somehow that you're qualified to speak on this. The internet provides you with but a little crumb of what this is actually about, right? Hence the reason why now, because I see that they coming forward and they have the indigenous name of the island on the lodge, this would be now where it will fall my lot to clarify, right? So I show you that temple there. How do I know that? And how am I qualified to speak on such topics? Here is your proof, right? That's how I know for a fact, contrary to what people like Kermeo Ahau thinks, right? That he's so bold enough to think that he could speak about one of the masters who they knew as Dr. Malachi Z. York and think that he belonged to your modern day or your popular Freemasonry is evidence that once he was never a part of this, you would not know what happens or what is happening, right? So basically, you don't know what you're talking about, Kermail, at all, right? This is how I know the address. Boom. Indian War Princess Tongue, the corporate name for the island, right? And it's a member, and this would be my straw man here, here, I leave the front for those who know me and went to school with me to know that they know that what those letters stand for, right? So they could see and understand that this is actual proof. And for those of you who want to know more and want to know more about how I pertain to this whole thing, you could go in this address, number 9, 6 Company Road, find them. I would caution you to talk to two people, right? Um, One who I would say has a disagreeable um, outlook in attitude, probably not words, but attitude into what they're supposed to be doing, i.e., what I am doing, and the other one who actually could verify what I'm saying, right? Ask them for, and like giving them names, because we're going to expose this whole thing now. Ask for a Mr. Cooper here, right? That would be the disagreeable one. And if you want to know the reality of how this pertains to what happening even in the indigenous realm, talk to one they call Hedge Moose, right? Now, let me go back a little bit. But from time immemorial, from the days of the being the called Sargon the First, who the King James Bible record as Nimrod, right? From the time of his time, order was created to defend the geometry and symbolism of the planet and the secrets that this planet holds from invading beings. Because we all on that topic now without any open. Last week I saw another government official from the United States talking about the ones that they're interacting with and where you're going to see upcoming and all that type of stuff. So we're going straight to it. Right, that's why I say I can't even cater for laymen right now. You had to catch up, right? So these where was I? Right. These beings and them who invaded the planet, Sargon the First had to protect the knowledge of the planet because they did not belong here. Right? That would take you into the swarthy woolly head invaders. Those are the descendants of the ones who were the invaders of this planet. We ain't talking about the lands on the planet yet. We're talking about the planet itself. Those are the ones who were the invaders of this planet who caused all the disagreeable things that happen out here. It plays out in their children, the swarthy, woolly head devils, or black devils as they commonly known for those who follow the school under the teacher who I mentioned earlier, right? And so this is how it's playing out. From that time to now, a lot of different changes took place. What you must understand in your head is there are but two Illuminatis. The Illuminatis are the amber light and the Illuminatis of the green light, right? Just like everything in your sector, right? In 24, sector 24, your planet Earth. Everything runs over your polarity that you understand here in the physical as good and bad. Beings on our level, we see things differently. Bad would be bad for who the act was perpetrated against and for who it was worked out negatively for. And then good would be for the ones who benefited from that act. So basically, what is good and bad in the concept of beings who understand this is what is beneficial to the tribe or to the collective is what is, would be considered good, and is what is destructive to the collective or the tribe is what would be considered bad. Right? Just to bring it down to that level. Right. So these beings who invade, they had the intentions of taking over the planet. As we see, they almost complete right now, right? But there are two Illuminatis. They've been at battle since. Now, I don't even know if this video would go the length I wanted, but we do it in parts, right? But the Ambalite is the ones who invaded. They are the ones who are your Rose and Cross, your Prince Hall, your all these different Illuminati groups that are very popular and that everybody think they know something about, right? No one knows about the green light Illuminati, right? The green light is the natural essence, the natural light of this planet. Those beings, the Masons, they were not slaves, so they didn't have to be free. So they were not Freemasons. They were just Masons, Masons, sons of the mother, sons of the matriarch, or sons of this planet, or custodians of this planet. Those beings are the ones who were in defense all this time. The level of destruction that you're seeing on the planet is because your Amberlight Masons are in control, right? These fellas here were supposed to be the green light, but until they come out and denounce a usurper, right? That is the Grand Lodge, as someone from the Grand Lodge, until they come and do that, then they are in effect Amberlight Illuminati. Hence the reason why I am not there anymore, right? Hence the reason why the level that we left them on, we had to do like Sargon and gain mastery basically under the how to put it by under nature, right? So all this is to give you an idea of these beings and them who coming out, these Rose and Cross, these Rosicrucians, and they're telling you that what you say, we'll go through the video and nitpick it in a bit. But they are the ones responsible for invasions, right? They are the ones who plotted in the 14 and the 1300s to invade the land or the bloodline, right? The land or the sons of the mother, right? They tried to eliminate all the males who carried the female line in the Americas, right? And so this would give rise to invasion. So we're telling the story in, so there's the raw version of the actual story. So all they're seeing, all that was written on, all that reading from their records is what they want you to know and what they would want you to stop at. So what their personal records would be a true account of the surface level. And then the mainstream media is what they falsify and taught in schools. And then now the Masonic Party is the actual reality of what really happening. Now, because of the moving or the removal or the voluntary removal, the green light sovereign grand commander, and that's in terms of largely speaking. I ain't talking about sovereign sitting on another type of bullshit, right? Or let me just put it in normal terms, the head worshipful master, his removal or his voluntary departure from public life, right, is directly affecting the way the Amberlight behave. Because obviously they think that they're gonna win, right? So this song and like all kind of mumbo jumbo to normal people. I just, as I say before, I'm not speaking to y'all. I'm speaking to brothers from here, and I am exposing the imposters from here, right? Dr. Eric Williams, was in effect a Freemason. Which lodge he belonged to, I not so much. That is not my part. That is, I am not so inclined with that information right now because masonry has been a secondary part of what I do, right? And that information could only be understood by, as again, as I said before, beings who've been tested, tried, and proven, right? So to go into that when they're not even on the level of masonry was just a tool to protect the secrets of the planet, but your indigenous position was always your way of life, right? Hence the reason why there were females in the lodge, right? So this is quite different to what you're researching on the internet, right? So this is who I'm speaking to. These invaders who claim to say there's what? The cross represents the human body, and the rose represents what? What do you say? What do you say? Let me just tell it that say.
Represents the human body, the weight of being alive. Put them together,
Oh,
and
he
that's
says
their
the
end
rose says.
weight of being alive. The cross represents the soul
Right. You
to Trinidad from the first peoples. The rose represents the soul, evolving.
right. Let me tell you what it actually is. The rose is the blood of the people that they conquered in order to establish their covenant, right? And the cross is the symbol in which they use to do that and conquer it, right? Not what he's saying. What he's saying is the commercial version of it, right? Dr. Eric Williams was a part of a group like this, or if not this exact chapter. Um, um, Freemasonic group, right? So you have Prince Olia, Rosen Crucible, all of them tying under the great wizard Charles III, right? It was under his mother before, the great witch, right? And now that they usurped a position in order to fast forward the stuff, right? That is just Masonic high talk. But now that they've done that, they consolidating all the power that they have. So what you think is not controlled by these people is controlled by these people. So guess what? The Charles III is the head wizard at the whole lodge scheme, including other what we call um, player pieces, right? So he's like one of the major overlords in the clip. But basically, the reason why these men coming out, right? And as I said, I bet that this guy who doing the video is a part of them. The reason why they coming out is because the consolidation of power is happening right in front of your eyes. So they want to present to you that they are somehow good when they are in fact the reason for the bloodshed, the reason for the invasion, the reason for all of that. And anyone from that lodge, right? Open debate, and this is the only time I debate people, open debate on that. That is not the history of where that coming from anywhere on any social media platform, right? So this is who I'm exposing. With about to put these in check. No, not these. This these here. If you look at it, you'd see that the beings on the front carry the genetic phenotype like us. No, a lot of you thinking, oh, this is Egypt and it belongs to Africa. Okay, let's give that a little rest with something like this. Go and check out in the North America, in places like Utah, in places like Memphis, and places. Go in these places and you'd see artifacts with pyramids and sphinx. So basically, the Americas is, we- should I say old Egypt? I didn't want to use the word Egypt, but the Americas is those are the ones who had that knowledge, that type of wisdom, and they taught those in Alkebulands, present day called Africa, right? And set up the theme park over there and all that type of stuff. Again, overlay man here, you have a different history that you're learning. That's up to you if you want to step up. This right now is not my concern. I'm speaking to one group here right now. So this group here now, not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Hence the reason why this group here now feel free to come forward and present as if they are something good, right? And so now as the chief, I am telling you, they both. This one inherently is evil, and this one at fault, so they get grouped with this one here, right? There is the usurper. I had a video up when we had the marshal office active, and since a plot by three-letter agencies in the north, the marshal is now missing and unaccounted for, and basically it's just that. So because before he was missing, we he did the uh, deputizing, or what to pay it, boy, initiation for that position. In case anything happened to him, it ended up my role. When we were putting things forward, it was squeezed down because again, the amber lights and them in control. So there are players out here on the front line who you think normal and you think have your best interests and talking all this indigenous talk and things same way, but they are controlled by the amber light Illuminati, right? So these things must come to light, right? They must come to light. The foundation of where it came from to protect this planet, and then where it went to with the Freemasons, who were the invaders, the Swati woolly head ones, who only knew up to a certain amount of degrees. They were the ones who went to the Caucasus Mountains and raised up the people who you today know as quote unquote white people and taught them 3 degrees: how to bathe, how to walk upright, and how to eat properly. Right? Just 3 degrees. Out of that 3 degrees, they take it and make 33 degrees, and then they had this, and then they had that, and a whole set of all is nonsense. It's just different levels to keep their inner circle uh, protected. So they create barriers around it, false barriers that don't belong to what they were taught, right? Because they know they have some orders missing. So they create something for themselves in order to take over control of the planet, right? So that is where from the foundations we are now. And then we are a whole bunch of people jumping up and talking about Freemasonry as if they know anything when they will never, I never see them next to me. And then if you ask about them, or if you ask them key questions that would make you have the ability to recognize a brother whether in the light or the dark, they cannot answer, which means they do not belong to that school. And so now they're talking about it and misleading people about what's going on. So everybody think all Freemasonry or all Masonry is bad, right? When the mere fact that you have a life now and you could even come up with something like that to think about is because of the Green Light Masons them protecting this stuff for thousands of years, right? So I give you the relations to them and invasion, the actual what was happening in the invasion. That's how I could tell it. Isabel and Ferdinand was involved with this whole plot under the Spanish Inquisition because they were a party to as well. Right. Now, this is a message going out to all of you now. This is the time we see in consolidation of power, right? This is the time where these faulty green lights or faulty ones who claim to be initiated under the green light This is the time where we see in all these things coming forward. So here's my message to you. What is your position? Right? And is there no help for the widow's son? For real. Right? So this is how this is going to go. Those of you who belong to the Amber Light, we are here. We are vigilant and we see you. Right? And those of you who are on the faulty side of things, this is now your time to step up. The usurper is called Demon Prior. That is the guy who responsible for the R. Kelly case, for setting up R. Kelly. And then he changed his name to Doswa York. Right? He's the usurper for the position of the green light, or people who think they're following the green light. He is in that position. He's a pedophile. There was a warrant I put out for him under the marshal's office, right? So I'm not asking you about this information. This is confirmed information, right? And now he sits at the top, and you all think that you have got, or that you are in some position to claim that you have some secrets that you're guarding, or you know some sort of something that would enlighten men or make good men and better men, right? You don't. What you are doing is in effect feeding into the amber light, hence the reason why the green light is scattered. And I could account for them on the digits on my body, right? For the real ones, then, right? So, this is your message. Let's see what is your next step. Both sides, amber light and green light, right? You're not going to come on this land and come forward under the consolidation of power, under the great wizard, to think that you could come as some savior or patsy to people, right? You are responsible with Ellis Clark under the Sir title, Sir Ellis Clark, and Dr. Eric Williams for solidifying the invasion process on the land and thus stealing the indigenous people's land, heritage, and birthright. Right? I am aware. I am here. If you didn't know now, now you know, you see the credentials, and that's just the first part. If you want to know more, go and ask or tell it to ask. Right? And take the bad and the good. Right? So, wonderful. So, in that light, you want to comment below, answer the question. For those of you who I don't know, right? For those of you who I know, contact me personally and let me tell you where this is going, right? Because you do not know. And that's your fault because you allow uh anti-nature being to take over a most sacred seat, right? And for those on the layman side of things, they tell you a lot of what I telling you here in movies, right? Star Wars, it was outside of what's happening, and then they bring it here. And then the same faction out there is the same faction down here that are fighting against each other, right? And then there is us, the indigenous people, who this was created for, and who know the orders, know the same thing on the two sides, but this belongs to us, the children of the woman, right? The Ma's sons, right? So, you leave it for a part two, but I give you the challenge. Those of you from the Rose and Cross, right? Debate anyway that is the origin, where you're coming from, right? I send out the message to all Mason, amber light and green light, right? If that is where you think going to happen in green, going to happen green light, you have a next thing coming. Because the chief of the land was tested, tried, and proven. In for another one. I wonder when it's cut off. But okay. What do?